Oh, hi. Okay, we're good? All right. So we know that there are 49 steps to go from Pesach. Pesach, we reach this high level the night of the Seder. It's a freebie. We get that because that's the night Hashem sort of proposed to us. And then the next 49 days, we got to work. Even though people don't work, they just say Machal Shiva Machal, Machal Shiva Gevura, Tiferes Shiva Netzach, whatever that means, whatever, it doesn't mean anything to them. They don't really look into what Tiferes and Netzach and all these things mean. I think this week we're in Netzach. So the question is, which I've been asked, is how does a person grow? In other words, let's say you want to grow, you want to do better, you want to change. What's the machshavas? What's the thought process? What's the physical process? What's the method? You know, as you go to a shir, whatever turns you on, you want to get close to Hashem and you want to stop doing certain things. So you walk out, you're like, I really want to stop, but I don't know how. It's like I really want to play basketball, but I don't know the rules, and I don't know how to shoot. You know, so I think tonight we're going to talk about the method. We know that we want to go from Chesed to Malchus. We know that by the time we get to Shavuos, it's all night learning, right? We're on that level of all night learning. So the question is, how do we get from where we are right now, this mundane world with all our gadgets, how do we get to Malchus Shiva Malchus? Rebbe, how do you get there, right? So in Koheles, which was written by Shlomo Melech, wrote three. He wrote Koheles, he wrote Shir HaShirim, and he wrote Mishlei, right? So Shir HaShirim he wrote when he was young. It's all about love, very positive. Koheles he wrote when he was old. Everything is worthless. You can work all you want. You could have the biggest name and the biggest car. At the end of the day, Hakol Hevel Havolim is like the opposite of Shir HaShirim. Hakol Hevel Havolim, everything's nothing. Kim Liyos Hashem. All that you're left with is the fear of God. So it's sort of young and hopeful, old and like, yeah, where are you going? And then Mishlei is in the middle. He wrote Mishlei in the middle between Shir HaShirim and Koheles. Tonight we're going to learn something out of Mishlei and something out of Koheles. Koheles was the name, another name for Shlomo ben David. Okay, he was called Koheles. Why was he called Koheles? Koheles comes from the word kahel, to gather, and he gathered many different wisdoms, and therefore he was called Koheles. And because he had these wisdoms, he was able to write. You know, usually you're a writer, you write a certain way. You don't write positive, negative, in between. But a person who was a chacham and he gets from all the different looks, he was able to write with Ruach HaKodesh. He was able to write Shir HaShirim, Koheles, and Mishlei. So he says as following: Divrei Koheles ben David Melech Yushalayim, the words of Shlomo Melech, the son of David, the king of Yushalayim. And he said like this: Zeh Shama Kosiv Ruach HaKodesh Aydei Shlomo Melech Yisrael. There's a pasuk written with Ruach HaKodesh by Shlomo, the king of Yisrael, in Mishlei, Perek Chav Beis, pasuk Chav Tes. And the pasuk says as follows: Chazisa, have you seen Ish Mohir b'malachto, a person who works bezrizas, he's fast. Maher comes from the word maher, right? He's not a lazy guy. Doesn't sit around. He gets it done. The opposite of what's it when you push everything off? Procrastinating, right? So you should know that if you see a man that is mahir b'malachtai, that works very fast at his work, lifnei melachim yisyatzav, one day he will stand before kings. Okay? In other words, he's going to work himself up the ladder. A guy that works hard, works fast, he's going to end up standing in front of kings. But malachim also can mean, what else can malachim mean? Angels. So the way it's translated here is kings, but the way we're going to learn it is going to be in the Medrash, that it's going to be actually angels, that a person who works fast he's going to end up to be able to stand in front of angels. Whatever that means, we'll see. Yisatzev will stand. Baal Yisatzev lifnei chashukim. He will not stand before men choshech of darkness. That's what he says initially. What does that mean? Right? Sounds very poetic, but what does that mean? So the Medrash says the following. The Medrash says, I'm now going to explain to you what this means, that a person who works fast is going to stand in front of kings, and a person and guaranteed not to stand in front of the dark side. Actually, the dark side. So what does this mean? So he says the following. So he's going to answer, the Medrash is going to answer with a story, and from the story there are many lessons to be learned. That's my share tonight. This story is my share tonight. Ma'aseh Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa. There's a story that happened to Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa. Shira ben Airo, he saw the people of his city. He lived outside of Eretz Yisrael. Malin Nedarim actually outside Yerushalayim. Malin Nedarim with the Davos of Yerushalayim. He saw these people had Bikurim, these people had Truma, these people had Karbanos, and they were going up to Yerushalayim to bring all these different things. So he saw that, right? Vani, he said to himself, and me, Eini Maladava. I'm not bringing anything. He was very poor. Very, very poor. He says, I'm not bringing anything. So what do? If you're very poor, everyone's bringing these beautiful animals and fruits and bikurim, and he has nothing. Number one lesson in growth. Number one lesson in growth is it has to bother you that you're not growing. You're not going to start changing if you're happy with where you're at. As I always say, you can't get where you're going till you leave where you're at. So the first thing it says here is that it bothered him. Everyone's going malin. Comes from the word rising, gaining, growing. Everyone's growing. All my friends are growing. This guy stopped going to movies. This guy stopped watching television. This guy stopped listening to Goyish music. This guy got rid of his BlackBerry. This guy got off Facebook. It bothers me that I didn't. You can't grow unless it bothers you. It bothers me. Everyone else is moving, changing, and I'm still the same guy. I'm not going anywhere. So it bothered Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa very much. Not that he was poor, but that he couldn't bring anything to Hashem. He couldn't give anything to the Beis HaMikdash. Okay. I don't have anything to bring. Ma'asa. So what do you do? What do you do if you feel, we're going to take this measure, we're going to learn it as a spiritual thing, not a physical thing. So what do you do if you have low self-esteem and you feel, I have nothing to bring to the table? That's what he's really saying over here. Nothing to bring to the table, my davening's no good, my learning's no good, garnished, I'm a nobody. Like, I have nothing to bring to the table, like he said. Everyone else is, look at this tzaddik, look at that tzaddik. He's doing kiruv, and he's giving tzedakah, and he's visiting nursing homes, and I'm not doing anything, right? So, what do? You sit there, take medicine, sleep till 4 o'clock, feel bad for yourself? Well, a lot of people do that, but you can't grow. You can't go up the steps like that. You go down the steps like that. So Ma'asa, what did he do? He had no money. He had no fields. He had no animals. So what are you going to bring? What are you going to bring to Beis HaMikdash? Yotza Limidbara. He went out into the desert. So Moshe Rabbeinu and David HaMelech, their growth, their spiritual growth, happened in the desert. Why? Because in the desert, there's nobody else out there. So you end up spending time with yourself. And there's a girl in my school that went through a wilderness program, and she was 6 months in the desert out in Arizona. And she said, you really get to know yourself, because there's nobody else. So we see the first step is Yatza Limidbara Shel Iro. he went out to the desert outside of his house, outside of his city. V'roa sham even achas. And he saw a stone. A stone. So sometimes when a person looks at themselves, that's all they see. They don't have a good self-image. They don't have good self-esteem. So when they look at themselves, and everyone's bringing these beautiful things, look at this guy, look at that guy, he's married, he's learning, this one's doing that, everyone's like so beautiful, and they're all giving Hashem all these beautiful presents, and me, I'm a stone, I'm nothing. Out in the desert, it's not worth anything. What's a stone worth, right? So this is all really self-realization of who you are, or what you are. So he sees a stone. V'shipcha v'siritza umerka. And he sits down by the stone, and he polishes it, and he carves it into a perfect stone. He sits there and he works for a long time. I don't know the English word for it, when you work on stone. But one of these words, I believe, v'shivava, means he polished it. But the things that you do on a stone to make it into a perfect rock to be used. Chiseled, right. He chiseled it, right. V'amar, and he said, Harei alai, it's upon me, la'aloisul Yerushalayim, to bring it to Yerushalayim. Okay. First, but maybe third, huge lesson. What would have I done? I would have said, okay, let's take the stone to Yerushalayim. When I get it to Yerushalayim, I'll do the work. Because if I do the work here, and it's a huge stone, and I can't get it to Yerushalayim, so now I got a stone in the desert that's polished and chiseled that you have nothing to do with. So if I were to do this, I would have said, okay, see that stone? Let's get it to Yerushalayim. And then Yerushalayim, I'll do the work. Does that make much more sense? And we do the work here, and I don't get it to Yerushalayim, I wasted my time. Once I get it to Yerushalayim, I do the work, it's there. So why do you do the work first?
Do it now.
What?
Do it now.
No, he did it. Then he went looking for people to take it to Yerushalayim. You should have taken it to Yerushalayim and then done it. Otherwise, maybe nobody's going to take it. You're going to be stuck out in the desert with a stone that you worked for 3 years to make it smooth, to make it beautiful for the Beis HaMikdash, and it's stuck out in the desert with doing nothing. Logically, you take the stone there first and then you do it. Wrong. Wrong. When it comes to growth, this is so true. When it comes to growth, if you're going to say, when I get there, I'm going to change. When I get there, I'm going to fix. It'll never happen. I can't tell you how many people I've heard tell me, right now, and especially in the summer, a lot of guys, a lot of girls, a lot of guys. The summer, we're playing around, but Mitzvah Hashem, I'm going to Eretz Yisrael after the summer. Eluzman, I'm going to learn, I'm going to straighten myself out. Lo haya, v'lo yiyeh, it never happened. Half of them never went to Israel, and the ones that went to Israel just bummed out the whole Elul. You can't say, when I get there, I'll fix it. You have to fix it now. So that's what he did. He said, what the worrying of getting it there comes after you fix it. Not, let me get it there and then I'll fix it. Let me fix it and then I'll get it there. So when a person wants to grow, these are all lessons in growth. When a person wants to grow, don't push it off like tomorrow, next week. It's like a diet, A diet, you push it off. I'll start on Monday. Oh, Monday I had a bris. So I had some bread with lox and cream cheese. So I broke it anyway. I'll do it on Tuesday. Right? And 20 pounds later, you did nothing. So he first worked hard on this stone. I also think if you work hard on the stone, which you'll see, it's just my opinion, that this is again, of course, the shir from this is a shir actually not from Shimshon Pincus. This is a shir from Rabbi Feifeld Olav Shalom. And you'll see what's going to happen, then I'll explain it to you. Okay. So anyway, he's got this huge stone, heavy stone, that he can't lift. So, Bikesh Liskar Loi Pa'alam. He went looking to hire workers to carry this huge stone to Yerushalayim. He reserved 5 people to carry the stone. That's how heavy it was. Amalehem, he said to them, Malin liatem eben zul Yerushalayim. Please do me a favor and take this stone to Yerushalayim. Amrulo, so they said to him, right? They said to him, you want us to take the stone to Yerushalayim? Tein lanu chamisha slom. Pay us. We don't do this for free. What do you think this is, Arnava? We don't do everything for free. Right? You want us to take the stone, you got to pay us for the stone to schlep it. Well, he had no money. Well, no malam, give us the 5 and we'll take it. The Yerushalayim. Bikesh litein lehem. He tried to give them the money. Either you have the money, you don't have the money, right? We'll explain. Extra word, biyadai. Should have just said v'lay nimtza. He went looking for the money. V'lay nimtza, he didn't find biyadai in his hand. It's an extra word, biyadai. He should say v'lay nimtza, he couldn't find it. So, v'lay nimtza biyadai davar, he couldn't find anything. He had nothing, he didn't have a penny. So, l'shahinichu, right? They left. They said, you can't pay us. Goodbye. So God prepared for him chamisha malachim, 5 angels. B'dmus b'nei adam, in the dmus of a, what's dmus in English?
Image.
The image, thank you, of humans. So he didn't know they were angels. Amalehem. So he now turned to these 5, and he said, Atem malam li eben zu? Will you take this stone to Yerushalayim? Amrulo, tein lanu chamisha slom. Give us 5, pay us 5 slom. We'll take your stone to Yerushalayim. Before it doesn't say your stone. Okay? Before, the first 5 guys said, if you give us 5 slum, we will bring it. Here, the Malachim said, it's his stone. Not it, your stone will bring Yerushalayim. Ubilvad, the deal is, Shetita Yacha, that you put your hand, Etzba'acha imanu, and your finger underneath the stone with us. Because we're all going to carry it. If you don't help us, we're not doing it. Only if you help us. Nasan Yadai, he put his hand underneath the stone. Etzba'imam, and his finger there. Benimtzu oimdim Yerushalayim. He put his hand under the stone. All of a sudden, they were standing in Yerushalayim. Magic. They were there. No traveling. Okay? Bikesh litem lehem scharan. He wanted to pay them. Where did he get the money from? He didn't have the money before. We'll try to answer that. Now we'll say he had the money. Right? Bikesh litem lehem scharan. V'lehem watzam. Couldn't find them. Turned around, they were all gone. Nichnas l'lishkas hagazis. He went to the lishkas hagazis where the Sanhedrin sat by the Beis HaMikdash. V'shol b'shvilam. And they asked, did you see these 5 guys? They came with me with a stone, mices. Amulai, no. The Chachamim said, you're not going to find these 5 guys. Daime, it seems to be, Shemalachei Hashores, that the Malachim that serve Hashem, Helu Avnechol Yerushalayim, they're the ones who carried your stone to Yerushalayim. V'karu olav mikra hazeh, and that's what the pasuk in Mishlei says, Chazisa Ish Maher, if you meet a man that's driven, right, to work hard, B'malachdai, in his work, L'fnei Malachim Yisyatzav, in the end he'll stand in front of angels, which is the ones that he carried the stone with, were actually not kings, but angels. Kerebei L'fnei Malachim, with an aleph. Okay. So now, number 1, where did the money come from, right? He didn't have money before. So the difference between these malachim and the other 5 people, the other 5 people said, pay us up front, which he couldn't do. These 5 people said, pay us when we deliver it in Yerushalayim. When he turned around to pay them, they were gone. So how did he do that? So he says that he had been talking to Hashem, that in Yerushalayim, he'd get the money from people. Somebody would give it to him. There's another pshat, I saw this in a different sefer, that the first ones wanted 100 gold coins, and these wanted only 5. So he didn't have that, but he had this. Okay. So he said something unbelievable. Oh, is this so true? Okay, he says like this. Now, let's take a look about growth here. Number one. In the beginning, the malachim, the regular people, here he is. He decided I'm going to give something to God. I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to change, and I'm going to give something to God. Right? But I need help. And he didn't have what it takes to get help. So even though he worked on himself, right? But most people at that point would have given up. You worked on the rock. You have no money. It cost $5 to get this to Israel. You don't have the $5. Finished. I did my best. The rock stuck in one day. Whatever. When I get rich, one day we'll do it. But what did he do? When they went away, Bikesh. No, one second. Let me read from inside. Bikesh litein lahem. He tried to give them money, and he couldn't find anything in his hand. So this represents many times when a person wants to change, when a person wants to grow, he goes inside himself and he just doesn't find the ability to do it. He doesn't find it in his own hands. He can't do it. He can't do it. He tries. It's like, it's my addiction. It's my struggle. And Rebbe, I could do a lot of stuff. I can't get up in the morning. I can't make shachris, or much worse things. I can't break it, right? He couldn't find it in his own hands. He couldn't find anything, right? So, what happens? We learn from this, but if you try, and you work, right? Even if you don't have it within you to succeed, you don't have it. You're fighting this big monster. You need to know that Hashem is going to step in, and he gave him 5 malachim, right? And they said to him, "Give us 5 slum." What happened now that it changed and it became his stone? Until now, it wasn't his stone; it was the stone. Might become his stone. And the answer is because he didn't give up. 5 people said no. He had no money, put his money in his pocket. He didn't think he had the ability. He went looking. Hashem sent him another 5. He said, how about you guys taking? Even though he still didn't have the 5 to pay for it. He was so driven, that's what the pasuk in Mishlei says, he was so driven, I got to get this to Yisrael. Why? Why? Because everyone's giving Hashem something, and I'm sitting here, but you have an excuse. You have the best excuse. You don't have anything. Hashem didn't give you anything. Right? What do you want from me? I'm born to a dysfunctional family. I don't have a head like Moshe Feinstein. You didn't give me anything. So leave me alone. No, it bothered him. But everybody has something, and I don't. So I'm going to make something out of whatever I have. So he went into a midbar, where everything's hefker. In the midbar, nothing belongs to anybody. And he took something that's hefker, and he made it his. How did he make it his? 2 ways. 1, he worked on it. He polished it, and he cleaned it, whatever he had to do. And 2, even though people said, no, I'm not carrying that for you. No, you don't have what it takes. You don't have the 5 slum. No, leave it in the midbar. He didn't give up. So when the Malachim saw he didn't give up, they said, you own it now. Today, some people came to my high school to see my high school. So I'm very much my way of chinuch with these kids is that I want them to own their decisions. In other words, if I tell them out of school you can't wear pants and you have to wear a skirt to your knee, because if I catch you in pants and your skirt's not seen, it's like, I'm going to throw you out of school. So now those girls are going to walk out of school, they're not going to wear pants, they're going to wear skirts. But when they go to the city tonight, and Wallerstein's not around, they're going to wear pants. And when they go to places that I can't catch them, they're going to wear pants. Why? Because their decision is not their decision. It's my decision. They're not wearing pants because Rabbi Wallerstein said you cannot wear pants, and you are going to get punished. So they didn't make a decision not to wear pants. I made the decision not to wear pants. What we call that is they don't own their decision. I do. So if they could go somewhere where I'm not going to catch them, their decision is still to wear pants. They didn't change their decision, right? If you stop smoking because I tell you to stop smoking, you'll start again. If you stop smoking because you want to stop smoking, you will never start again. Because it's called owning your decision. So in my school, I very much don't tell them what to do outside of school. But Shabbos, right? So we went around the table today. This girl's keeping 6 Shabbosim. This girl's keeping Shabbos since last July. I never told them to keep Shabbos. We learned about Shabbos. I wanted to keep Shabbos. But if I'm going to tell them they have to keep Shabbos, so when I'm not there with them for Shabbos, which is never, they're going to be Mechal Shabbos. But so many girls in our school today are keeping Shabbos because they want to keep Shabbos. Guess what? It's going to last forever. It's their stone. They polish their stone. It's not a stone, it's their stone. And there are at least 3 girls in the school that only wear skirts, that last summer were wearing pants all the time. And today when we had these people, I said to the girl, I said, did I ever tell you not to wear pants out of school? She said no. So they said, so then why did you change? Why do you only wear skirts? She said, that's my decision. I made that decision. And I was like, that's what I was waiting for. This is your decision, you own it. If you're doing it for Rabbi Wallerstein, the rabbi, shidduchim, whatever you're doing it for, you don't own that decision. And therefore when you're married, you don't need to look for shidduchim anymore. The decision goes out the door. So what happened over here, which is Shlomo Melech Ruach HaKodesh, what happened over here is the second time when he didn't give up. Okay, I don't have money. So how about you taking it to Yerushalayim, and then when we get to Yerushalayim, I'll find money. There's no stopping him. He was driven. That's the word, driven. So now it became avnacha. Now you own it. When you own it, it will get to where it needs to go. When it's your decision and you own it, and that's why drug rehab very, very seldom works. I will not pay for a kid that's going to drug rehab if we have to force him to go, because he will relapse a week or two out of rehab, because he doesn't own the decision not to do drugs. He's not doing drugs because he's in a rehab. And all the therapists are sitting around and they're in the AA meeting and all these meetings, and right, everyone's saying how bad it is, how bad it is, how bad it is. But until he decides it's bad, it ain't bad. The environment, he's in a rehab, he can't do drugs. But the minute he's out of there, he's going to do it again, because he doesn't own the decision. He's doing it for you, for you, for you, for you, for you. My father always used to say, don't learn for me, learn for you. If you're learning for me, the minute I'm gone, you're not going to learn anymore. Learn for you. Right? So that's what happened over here. So when you want to learn about growth, right, a person has to know that the things that you come to on your own, not because other people tell you to do it, sometimes you come to those because after a while, you realize, oh my gosh, they're right.
What do you call when someone wears, in your case, wears the skirts, but they learned about it and they decided to quit?
That's what we want.
Yeah, but they're still teaching them to put on.
No, we're not forcing them, so they can still walk out and not put on a skirt. So 100%, to make them own the decision, you have to explain to them. Right. That's what we do. We explain to them what tznius is and the greatness of tznius and all that other stuff. So now it's like a shmorg. You walk in and you pick out what you want to eat. You understand? Right? If there's nothing on the table, there's nothing to eat. So it's not like we sit there with wait till they come to a decision. We feed them and we feed them. But I will never tell her, when you leave the school, you can't wear pants. Because if I do that, she's only doing it for me. So when she graduates, she's going to do it. And we have a lot of that. But when she hears the beauty of tznius, and she says, I, so-and-so, have decided, it's already now a year, she came up in the summer, this girl, she always wore pants. She said, Reb Wallerstein, I decided this summer, no more pants. And I knew the next day she came, she gave away 22 pairs of jeans. Finished. I knew that was coming because it was her decision. Had she only been not wearing pants because of Reb Wallerstein, those jeans would have been hanging there, waiting to be worn again. So that's what happened over here. And the minute Hashem saw that he wanted it so bad, so Hashem doesn't let you suffer. Hashem right away sent him these 5 malachim. Now, I'll tell you something unbelievable about this medrash. So what's this business with the finger and the hand underneath the rock? You got 5 angels. They can move the rock in a billionth of a second. So we learn from here 2 very important things. There's a mitzvah in the Torah that if you see the owner of a donkey, the donkey's back is breaking, it's about to collapse into dying, right? And the owner of the donkey is standing next to the donkey and he's saying, my God, my donkey's dying, could you unload it for me? Halacha is, you do not have to help. Only azev tazev imai, if he unloads the donkey together with you. You don't have to just do it by yourself. There's a mitzvah azev tazev imai. In other words, if he says, okay, let's the 2 of us carry the stuff off the donkey, you have to carry it off. But if he just sits there, he's having a soda, hey, clean, there's something on my donkey, take it off. Have a nice day. The owner has to help the person. They have to do it together. Now, Malachim said, well, we can move this, but it's no longer your stone if we move it, if you have nothing to do with it. You have to do something. You have to put some of your effort, even though you can't lift this rock. It was a huge boulder. But you have to put your hand there. You have to be part of the process. Part of the problem with our generation that we live in today is a generation where everyone else has to do everything for you. You straighten me out. You take me to rehab. Guys are going to rehab. You're saving their lives. Girls are going to rehab. You're saving their lives. They're mamish, they OD'd or whatever they're going through, right? And it's like, you want me to go to rehab, Reb Wallerstein? You want me to go to Utah? You buy me a ticket and you go on the plane with me. What? I'm clean. Right? I'm clean. You drive me to the hospital. You take me to the hospital. No, you take yourself to the hospital. What do you mean I should take you to the hospital, right? So if the person says, Wallerstein, help me, get me to the hospital, I'm sick, help me, right? So that you have to help them. But if the person says, I don't want to go, you want me to go? You want me to go? You take me. I get this all the time. I'm not going. You want me to go? So you take me. Before we go, I want to go out to eat also. My last pastrami sandwich. You understand? 1,000,000%. I will not take him. It will never work. Because he's not... A sandwich for me? Kol hakavod. Right? He's not invested. That's the word they use in rehab. Thank you. He's not... It's just a sandwich, boys. And you can have it if you want it. Don't worry. As long as you don't take my donut, you're okay. You want my sandwich, I don't mind. You touch my donut, you're in trouble. So, the word is invested. You have to invest. You can't lean on your Rebbe and on everybody else. You can get help, but you can't let them do everything for you. You have to invest. And therefore the Malachim said to him, we are not moving this stone until you put your hand underneath. Even though they didn't need him until you put your hand underneath. Now I'll tell you the godless of the whole share. What I'm about to tell you is the godless of the whole share. So it seems to be from this medrash that what they were telling you is what I just said to you. We're not moving this rock unless you help. Right? Azav tazav imai. So we're not asking you to schwitz, and we're not asking you to break your back. Just put your hand underneath the stone. Just be part of this. I don't know yet. I didn't have a chance before preparing what this etzba is. In other words, they're saying the words are Shetite yodcha ve'etzba'acha. Your hand and the finger. Wait a minute, if I put my hand under the rock, my finger's there. So it's mashma to me. See if he says it. Well, no. So so it's mashma to me that maybe what he was saying is your hand, and from the other hand an etzba. In other words, I need both your hands underneath. I need something from both your hands underneath that rock. So it's not clear if it's the etzba of the hand, because that doesn't make sense. But once you tell me put my hand under the rock, my finger's under the rock, right? So if you look at the lashon, it says tite yadcha ve'etzba'acha. Put your hand and your finger. If you tell me put my hand, my fingers are automatically. So it could be that they were saying put your hand plus a finger. In other words, both hands have to be involved. Now, when I first learned this, I learned it. I love it. It's such a great lesson to teach kids when you're a teacher. Like, don't expect me to do all the work. You got to work with me, right? So the Malachim are saying, sure, we can carry this, but you got to be with us. It's beautiful. But he says in the Medrash, in the Parish of the Medrash, he says something unbelievable. Why did the Malachim tell him to put his hands? Why did the Malachim tell him to put his hands underneath the rock? Not because they needed help. Because by him putting his hand under the rock, when they moved the rock to Yerushalayim in that second, he went with the rock. Had he not been touching the rock, it's true the angels would have taken the rock to Yerushalayim, but not him. So what a person doesn't realize, and that's the godless of this whole medrash, is that you think you're putting your hand under, right, and you have to lift this weight, and you have to do all this work. You're not doing any work. It's very, very deep. You're not doing any work. The reason Hashem wants you, what's the word they use by Shidduchim? To do Hishtadlus. The reason that Hashem wants you to do Hishtadlus is not because He needs you to do any work. The reason He wants you to do the Hishtadlus is because now when He moves things, if you're not holding on, then you're not moving with Him. So what they were saying over here is that if you're not invested, then even though HaKadosh Baruch Hu is really doing all the work, but you're not going along. So over here, he says it inside. He says, when you see that Yada Imahem, and he's putting his hands with them, Amru Ki'ilu Mevakshim Mimenu Me'atas Es Rasai. It looked like they were asking him for help. Right? Don't just stand around there. But he says, no. Ube'emes, the truth is, his kavanu, their intentions, Kidei Lisa, Gam Oisa Imahem, Ba'afifasam Zul Yerushalayim. That they wanted to make sure that he would be carried along when they flew the rock to Yerushalayim. So you think the whole thing is to move the rock. Really, it's just that you should be with the rock when it moves. Because Baruch Hu is the one who moves the rock. Goes back to my move the rock story. So he goes. So what happens? So he comes to Yerushalayim, and he wants to pay them. Now, how is he going to pay them? Okay, so there's a machlokes here. One was that he had money to pay them. The other guys wanted gold, and they just wanted 5 whatever, and he had that. And the other one was that was a nace. That when he got to Yerushalayim, he said, "When I get to Yerushalayim, I'll go collect." Yerushalayim is a lot of Jews. I'll go collect the 5, to pay them. But when he got to Yerushalayim, it was a nace that he had them already, and he wanted to pay them. Now the question is, how did they know that these were malachim? Just because they disappeared?
Well, what else would they do if they disappeared?
So I'm going to tell you a joke.
Who can travel that fast in those days?
No, but he didn't know they were malachim. He didn't know they were malachim. He went, the Medrash, he went to Bezdin. No. he went to Bezdin, right?
Behind the line.
He went to Bezdin and he said, I didn't pay them. They told him a chiddush. You're not going to be paid them because they're malach yesharis. Now what you're asking is, what was he thinking? How'd you get to Yerushalayim that fast? I don't know what he was thinking. But he did not know they were malachim. They did know Sheamus. Sure he knew Sheamus. But it could be maybe he thought that they used Sheamus to get there. He didn't know they were malachim. Could be. He definitely did not know they were malachim. So now he's looking around. They knew that they were malach yesharis. So I'll tell you something very cute. It's a cute line that I heard from a collector from Eretz Yisrael. So how did he know they were malachim? This is not the real answer. Please do not repeat this as the Medrash says this. The Medrash doesn't say this, but it happens to be very cute. If you look at the story of Shimshon HaGibor, so it says in the story of Shimshon HaGibor that before he was born, Shimshon's mother met this angel, and the angel said that next year you're going to have a child. Make sure, she had no children, make sure he lets his hair grow, make sure he doesn't drink wine, that he should be a Nazir. She ran home to her husband, I met a malach, right? So he came out, and they had a mizbeach, and this malach, who told her that she's going to have a child, so it says, he got onto the mizbeach, into the carbon of the fire and the smoke, he went into the fire and the smoke, and they saw, he went up in the pillar of smoke to Shemayim. Doesn't say anything that there's a malach. Then it says, Vayiru, they saw, the father of Shimshon saw that he didn't come back, this person didn't come back. He said, Malach Hashem. Because he didn't come back, he's a Malach Hashem. He stood in a fire on his Mizbeach, went up in the smoke, you saw him flying Shemayim. No, you didn't know he was a Malach. You didn't know he was a Malach. But now, it says in the Navi, that since he didn't come back, he knew he was a Malach. What are you talking about? A human being could not come back. But you saw him go through a fire, you saw him go up and smoke into Shemayim. So this collector from Israel, who collects tzedakah, he asked me this question. I'm like, wow, it's a bomb question. If you look at the Psukim said that. He said, oh, he didn't come back? He's a Malach. Doesn't make sense. He says, let me tell you something. This is what he tells me, this collector. He says, let me tell you something. These people didn't have children, right? Shimshon's mother was in Akar. She didn't have children for a very, very, very long time. This guy shows up, right? And he says, next year, at this time, you're going to have a baby. But Kachoya. A year later, they had a baby, Shimshon. He says, and the guy who gave him the bracha doesn't come back to collect money for the bracha after they came true, has to be a malach. That's what he said. So I'm thinking, it's a joke. But it's cute because it fits into the psukim. So I'm thinking over here, when he came to Bezdin and he said, we made a deal, I'm going to pay them 5 slum. I turned around, they never collected the money, they were gone, and they schlepped this rock. They're like, this can't be humans. They got to be angels, because there's no way that someone's going to schlep a rock, 5 going to schlep a rock, with it, make a deal, and not collect the money. That's not what it says here, but they said that they were malachim. So he says, the end of it is, he says, that a person who's fast and a person who's focused on his what he wants to do, in the end he'll stand in front of malachim. In the end, angels will help him get where he's going. And I can tell you that I have seen in the years of chinuch that I've been, Baruch Hashem, that this pasuk is so true. The kids who are determined and who don't take no for an answer, who put their hands in their pockets and find nothing, who are able, when everyone else has everything, to take a stone and make it beautiful because they worked on it, because they polished it, because they chiseled it. Those are the ones that walk with angels. Those are the ones that stand before malachim, before kings, and those are the ones that stand, they don't give up, even if you fall, and even if you look into yourself and there's nothing there, and even if you put your hands in your pocket and you can't pay for what you need to pay, and you're in a really bad place, you're like, I'm not worried about it, because when I get to the place that I need to be, everything I need will be there. That's what he said. He said, if I prepare, and that's the share, if I prepare what I need to prepare, if I sit in this desert and I chisel a stone, and I work and I work and I sand it down and I polish it, and I prepare what I want, what I need to prepare, and I do, and I have a vision, and I do what I have to do, then even if the first people I meet, I fail. I'm like, look at me, look how far I grew, look what I want to do, and they're like, nah, we can't help you, right? Not to give up. These first 5, sorry, we can't help you. He found another 5. And he understood from them that you also have to put, even after all that, and you want us to carry it for you, you have to put your effort in it. Today, we don't have any effort whatsoever. Everything's automatic. You want it hot, you push 2 minutes microwave. You want fast food, you go to a fast food store. Whatever you want is done.
Instant gratification.
Absolutely. And there's no effort. That word is gone. And what we learn here in Keheles, what he's saying over here is that the Malachim are saying, if you want to move stuff, and you want miracles, and you want stuff to move, you have to put your hand underneath. You have to be part of it, because we don't need your help. But when we move this rock, if you're not holding on to it, you're not moving with it. It's a Rabbi Freifeld share, it's such an unbelievable lesson. This little piece in Keheles about growth. And we're standing here now before Matan Torah, and we're trying to figure out, like, what Manishtana. I think just the opposite. I think that most people in this room, nothing personal, most people watching this share, are probably on a higher spiritual level Pesach night than they are Shavuos night. Which means that instead of going up the 49 steps, you went nowhere. Why? Because every single day of Sfira, you didn't change anything. So Pesach night, you sat, you leaned, you're up till 2, 3, right? Shavuos night, half the people don't stay up. They have to stay up, drink coffee, eat watermelon, and they're looking for the shul that has the best chocolate cake. And every 8 minutes they go for a walk because they're falling asleep, right? And Pesach night, you're able to be up till 2, 3 o'clock, no problem. And Shavuos night, you can't stay up. Because what was the work that you did between Pesach and Shavuos? Nothing. You did nothing. You made a bracha on Sfira, which is a mitzvah, nothing wrong with that. But you didn't do anything. You didn't look at Malchus, Chesed, Netzach, Tiferes, Soid, Hoid, all these different things. Hoid is beauty. I'm going to look at the beauty of the world this week. Right? Malchus, the kingdom of the world. I'm going to try to see Hashem's crown on everything in the world. Each thing, Chesed. So did we, including me, did the week of Chesed, Malchus v'Chesed, Vush v'Chesed, did we pick that week and say, this week I'm doing every day a Chesed. This week I'm making people smile. No. So you wasted 49 steps. And you come to Shavuos, and it's about cheesecake. Some more cheesecake, right? Sleeping that morning, when you're up all night, sleeping by davening, not hearing one word that you're saying, right? Sleeping the whole afternoon, pretty much, right? This year it's amazing. This is the best that could be. Because the first night of Shavuos comes after Shabbos. So you can sleep after Shabbos. So you can be prepared to stay up all night. And it says anyone who stays up all night and doesn't close his eyes for a second, he's guaranteed to live out the year. That's the result says. Where can you buy that guarantee? Anywhere in the world? You can buy it anywhere in the world. If you're not menamnem, you don't do that. Nothing. Your eyes are open the whole night. You don't even close your eyes for 1 second. It says you will be zeicha to live the whole year out. B'li shum nezek.
You can't waste your time.
Well, you have to learn. No, I mean you can get up, you go to the bathroom, you can take a drink. No, he holds. The Kav HaYashar says that his Rebbe said that on the night of Shavuos you're not allowed to even speak English, only Lashon HaKodesh. We're not on that level, but yeah.
Oh, but Shabbat's learning, though. It's tighter.
You can't. He says the whole night you're not allowed to speak. So you can imagine. No, but he's not even letting you speak English. You can imagine. You can't be talking about the Rangers and politics and
from Kiddush till after Kesser, the next time when all the tikkunim fall into place, there's no bar mitzvah, there's no talking out, except for what you.
So I want to end with a story which Mamish is very connected to this. I said it tonight. I spoke before I got here. I spoke in a parlor meeting for McVoice. I'll tell you something interesting. Some of you guys won't understand what I'm saying. I want to tell you something interesting. So I was at a parlor meeting tonight, and it's called Mikvah Yisrael. They build mikvahs all over America. They don't build the whole mikvah. They give seed money to start the mikvah. So I was like, all the years, I was like, it's very nice. I did a lot of business with Tower Records. Tower Records is in Sacramento, California. Sacramento, California had a shul and a deli. And I was very happy because I was always there. But didn't have a mikvah. Didn't have a mikvah for women. So when I first used to go there, so the guys in shul, we had like 14 guys in the morning. The guys in shul were always like picturing the closest mikvah for a woman. Sacramento was San Francisco. San Francisco was 2 hours on a good day from Sacramento, which meant for a woman to go, she had to drive 2 hours. She's there for like an hour, drive back. It's a 5-hour trip. And what woman can do all that? So the husband had to go. So it's a ganze mice, right? Okay. But I always thought to myself, you live out of town, too bad. You want to mikvah, you want to mikvah on every block, so move to Brooklyn, right? You live out of town, that's part of living out of town. So travel 4 hours. What? Not in Sacramento. You gotta go to San Francisco. Nothing. Sacramento's flat. And women don't go in the river. It's not so. Okay. Anyway, so you go to the river. You go to the river. Okay. You enjoy the river. I'll go to the nice mikvah Landau's and Rabbi Weinfeld. Anyway, so no, you have to. It's amazing. So. I'm not saying I never gave money to it, but I'm not like a big supporter of it. I was like, okay, mikvah's very nice. You live out of town, so you have to drive an hour, half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. At the end of the world, right? I don't have to support this. But you know how God works. So, just fascinating. So if there's no mikvah in walking distance, so the woman, Friday night, she doesn't go to the mikvah. Even if that's the night that she's clean and she's supposed to go to the mikvah, if there's no mikvah, you can't walk to San Francisco, right? Forget San Francisco, even a half an hour away by car, you can't walk. So if there's not a mikvah in the town, right, she can't go to mikvah Friday night. So, okay, so don't go to mikvah Friday night, so go to mikvah Motzei Shabbos. The end of the world, right? It happens to be pushing off mikvah night is not a good thing. It's not the end of the world, right? Now it happens to be that in Sacramento, they told me, that if it came out Friday night, their wife's mikvah night was Friday night, they didn't go to the mikvah till Sunday. Because Saturday night, it's a 5-hour trip. By the time they came back, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. What are they going for? They're dead tired, right? So no, I'm serious. So they would push it 2 days. That's not so push it. They would push mikvah 2 days. Okay, anyway. It's not good, it's not nice, but I ain't putting no $1 million into a mikvah because you have to push it off 2 days. Move to San Francisco. Or, for that Shabbos, go to San Francisco or go to LA or whatever you have to do. It's not easy. You have to get out. You have to move. But it's not the end of the world. Now let me tell you. So, a case, someone I know that doesn't have children for a very, very long time. So I'm involved in this situation. Now, the woman ovulates. The woman ovulates for 24 hours, and if the egg is fertilized during those 24 hours, you become pregnant. If you miss those 24 hours, you missed it. This woman ovulates the night before mikvah night, which means she can never have children. She ovulates the night before mikvah night. When it comes to mikvah night, it's already 24 hours after she ovulated. He can't make her pregnant. At the same time, she's tameh. So you're stuck. Right? So, what?
Is there a few days it's derabbanan?
No, you're stuck. So, they don't have children. And that's a very big problem. So first of all, I heard something today that's amazing. So there was a couple like this in Eretz Yisrael, right? That had this problem that she ovulated the night before mikvah. So she could never get pregnant. So I think it was Rabbi Bronsdorfer, the head of the Eidus Achredis, sent the couple to move to Australia, or from America to Australia, which is 24 hours different. No, really. So her body is 24 hours later, longer. So she ovulates on the night of her mikvah, and she got pregnant right away.
Whoa.
They moved them to Australia, and she got pregnant right away. That's godless. That's brilliance. That's brilliant. Okay. Anyway, so there's a Rav. Whatever. I don't have to get into because a lot of single guys here. Whatever. But there's a Rav who is very, very famous. He's a baki in the blood to know if it's tamei or not. So he can see the last day if it's new or if it's old, and if it's old, then it's not considered new, and therefore it's not tamei, and she cuts off a day, and then it works. But it's not pashut, and for the Rav to paskin that way, he has to be 1,000,000% sure it's not something that you play with, whatever it is. So, now listen to this. So now all of a sudden, if a town doesn't have a mikvah, and the woman ovulates Friday night, and she can't go to mikvah, the next night going to mikvah doesn't help, as far as having children is concerned. So the guy who runs this mikvah society that I spoke for tonight, so I spoke and I read my famous Avas Chaim with that lady with Sarah, Avram and Sarah came down from Shemayim. You know that story that I say? I'll tell you, I'll end this crazy story. But anyway, I had this story, whatever, he comes over to me afterwards, the one who runs the program. So Wallerstein, I have to tell you something. He said, you spoke about this, it's interesting because nobody brings up this point very often. The Jumamish can miss having children if you don't have a mikvah that Friday night, right? And these people are pushing in Sacramento 2 days. Right? So it really can mess everything up. So I want you to know that there's a woman that came over to me and she had 3 children. She wanted to have 10. She wanted a very big family. She came from a small family. She said, Rabbi, do you know why I don't have 10 children? She says, because by me it came out almost every month Friday night, and we did not have a mikvah. So the times it didn't come out Friday night, I got pregnant with 3 times. She said, if we would have had a mikvah in the town, I would have had my 10 children. I said, now you can't say out of town, 2 hours, get in your car, whatever it is. The importance of each town to have a mikvah that a woman can go Friday night. So that's what I spoke for tonight, whatever it is. So again, I spoke this week about the second Vayar by Avraham Avinu when the Malachim came. So it says Vayar, he looked, V'hine oimed alav, they were standing in front of him. Then in the same pasuk it says again Vayar, Vayaratz l'krosam. So they asked the kasha, why did you say Vayar? He saw them already. What do you mean he saw them twice? The same pasuk, it says Vayar, they were standing in front of him. Vayar, he looked again. Vayaratz l'krosam, he ran to meet him. First of all, just standing in front of him, what do you mean he ran to meet him? They're right there, right? So the pshat is that the first Vayar, unbelievable pshat, I said this in Pash Vayera. When it comes to chesed, when it comes to being a rebbe, when it comes to being a father, when it comes to dealing with people, don't go by the first look. It's the second look. So it teaches us over here what happened to the first Vayar. Vayar Avram, right? Avram looked. He made oimed olav. Nothing was moving. After the first look, they were just standing in front of him. Nothing happened. But then he took another look. Vayar. When you take the second look, Vayaratz l'krosam. Then he got up and ran. You look at somebody in the beginning, it's like, okay, like I looked at it. Mikvah, 2 hours, an hour, 45 minutes. So get in your car and drive. The first look is like big deal. It's not going to change your life. So drive. You know what I'm saying? So drive during the week, whatever it is. But when you take the second look and you realize that a woman could have had 10 kids and she only had 3 because she doesn't have a mikvah Friday night. You get to take the second look. All of a sudden you want to write a check and you want to build a mikvah. Because at the first look, you don't realize that it has an effect on having children. Any chesed is like that. And any kid that you're teaching and he's misbehaving, the first look is he's misbehaving. The second look is, why is he misbehaving? What's going on at home? Maybe his grandfather just died. Maybe something's happening. The second Vayar causes the Vayarat to what? To cross them, to meet them. The first look, they're just standing there, nothing's happening. You want to meet somebody? You want to meet them? You want to help them? You have to look twice. Same thing last week's Parsha by the Kayin. By the Kayin, by Negat Saras, it says Vayar, and then it says again Vayar. He should look, and then it says again he should look. So they ask why double Lashon, he already looked. He says for a Jew, for a Kohen, to make another Jew Tameh, you better look twice. You can't make apostle another Yid with one look. Kohen, you better look again. Even though you think you saw, you look again. It's a very, very big lesson. So I learned that lesson, and the story with the mikvah came to my office today. I was speaking tonight, the way Hashem works. I was speaking tonight, so I had my stuff, but I was like, it came today, this whole thing with the Rav and the one day and the whole thing. We were talking about it in my office today, this girl can't, whatever. So that's mamish. In the beginning, it just looks like it's an inconvenience. So we got to spend all this money to build a mikvah? The answer is it's inconvenience. You could be changing people's lives on how many children they're going to have, or if they're going to have children. All right, I'll end with this story from the Avas Chaim, really fast. I've said this over, maybe 10 years ago. Maybe you guys all weren't here. He says like this. Now, Avas Chaim is not a storybook, right? It's a very, very, very holy book. So he says, I have to read it. I have to say it from. It's not in this book. It's in the other book. I brought the wrong one in. I'll tell you the story. He says the story like this. He says there was a woman. If you want to see it inside, I'll show it to you after the share. There was a woman, and she loved to go between Mincha and Ma'ariv every day. The rabbi would give a shir between Mincha and Ma'ariv. So she would go up to Ezras Nashim between Mincha and Ma'ariv, and she would listen to the shir. It came the night she was supposed to go to the mikvah, right? But you don't go to the mikvah till after Ma'ariv, till it's dark. So she figured, I'm going to listen to the shir. Who was giving the shir? Me. How do you know it was me? Because Avas Chaim says that night, the rabbi just kept talking and talking and talking. It says, Marich b'shiuro, it says. That's what the Lashon. He kept talking and talking and talking. And she did not realize it. And she sat up there, and it got dark. And it was already an hour or more after it got dark. And then, when they finished davening Ma'ariv and she walked out, she realized what time it was. And the mikveh was closed. And she knew she's in big trouble. Which can tell her husband. She went to a shir. Right? So, she didn't know what to do. Because her husband wasn't religious. Like he was an Aziz type of guy. And she knew that if she tells him she didn't go to the mikveh, he's going to bother her anyway. So she wanted to go to her father. She figured she'd go to her father that night. But she knew her father's going to say, "My hi, what are you doing here?" She could say, "Mr. Mikveh." Well, why'd you go to the mikveh? He went to a shir. He'll kill her. Who told you to go to a shir? You're not mechayiv to one Torah. What are you going to a shir for? The night of your mikveh, you're going to a shir. So she knew her father would lock her out. Her husband's going to do an aveira with her. She's stuck. So she went to the mikveh, it was locked. So she went back to the shul, it was locked. And she laid down in front of the door of the shul, and she cried to Hashem to help her. She said, "My husband's going to attack me, and you got to help me." Avas Chaim says the story. And she's laying there crying. All of a sudden, this huge, beautiful coach wagon, right, comes out with 2 white horses. This beautiful coach, and a man comes out of the coach, and he walks over to this girl who's laying on the floor crying, and he says to her, "Excuse me, we just came from a very long ride. My wife is very old, and she needs a hot bath. Do you know where we could get a hot bath in this town?" She said, "Happens to be, yes, it's together with the mikvah, but it's locked. And it's been locked for a long time. That's why I'm crying." He said, "Locked? I'll take care of the locked. Who runs the bathhouse?" She said, "That house over there. They run the mikvah in the bathhouse." He knocks on the door. He wakes this guy up. It's the middle of the night. The guy comes down. "What?" He says, "We just came from a long trip. I have an old wife. She needs a hot bath." The guy takes one look at this beautiful coach, and he realizes it's a very, very wealthy man. And he says, "Here's a bag of gold coins. Get it open for my wife." Okay, the guy's like, It's a poor town. Gold coins was like a billionaire overnight. So he gets dressed and he runs out and he opens the door to the mikveh bathhouse, which is together. The old lady comes out of the coach and she says to the young girl, I want to go into the bath house, but I'm very old, I might slip. Would you come in and stay with me? So she says, sure. So now the door's open to the mikveh and the bathhouse. So they walk in together, and the old lady says, so the girl says to the old lady, do you mind if I just go into the mikveh if you watch me? She says, sure, no problem. So she goes to the mikveh. The old lady goes into the bath, whatever that was warm, and they come out, and the girl turns to the old lady and says to the old man, I don't know how to thank you. You don't understand. I was in this situation where I was like in big trouble, and you guys came and you saved me. So they said to her, we were sent by HaKadosh Baruch Hu to save you. We were sent by God to save you. Hashem heard your cries. She said, who are you? He said, I'm Avraham, and that's my wife Sarah. It's in the Sefer Amos Chaim. And she said she was in such shock, she was like almost fainted. And then when she turned around, the wagon and everything was gone. There was nothing there. And that night, he brings it down in the Sefer. He said, that night, she went to sleep. First of all, she got home, her husband wasn't home yet. It says that. She got home, he wasn't home yet. So he had no idea that anything happened. And of course, she didn't tell him. And that night, she went to sleep. And in her dream, Sarah Imeinu came to her and said, I want you to know that you shouldn't feel bad that you went to a shir. And that you should know that in Shemayim, they were happy that you went to the shir. They're not angry at you that you went to the shir. And that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent us, to open the mikveh up for you. He says, Ad Kana Maisa. So that's the end of the story. We see that if somebody wants to do something right, she sat there, she cried, she didn't want to go home to her husband, she realized it was going to be a bad situation. Hashem is going to move the rock. You just have to be holding on to it. Because you're holding on to it, when he moves it, then you move with him. That's what a person has to understand, that if you're trying to grow, and you're working, and you're working, and you're working, he is going to help you. Hashem is going to help you move. I can tell you that from my own life. He will help you move. But you have to be holding on. Because if you're not holding on, then you're not going to move with the move, so to say. You're going to be stuck in the same old place. So that's where we need to start. We need to start like this man started. He looked at himself and said, I'm a nothing. I have nothing. Everybody else is being korbanos. Everyone else is being bikurim. I'm a nothing. I have nothing. But if I live in this world and God put me in this world and He's giving me life, I have something. I have to figure out what that is. And I have to take that something and I have to chisel it. And I have to polish it. And I have to work on it. Not when I get there and I have something, that's when I'm going to work on it. No, I'm going to work on it. And then, once I'm finished working on myself, to move me up those steps, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take care of that. And that's the Medrash in Kehelas. HaKadosh Baruch Hu should carry the stone of the Pina of the Beis HaMikdash and place it, Bezrat Hashem, B'Karov, and Her V'Yameinu Amen.